Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. We're here in Palm Beach, little courtyard outside the Breakers or in the courtyard of the Breakers. We just spoke to John Lynch and he gave us an update on quite a few things. And we'll talk to Kyle Shanahan tomorrow. We'll talk to Jed York tomorrow as well. It is Monday and it is the NFL annual meeting. Every single owner is here, every head coach is here, every general manager is here. It is a requirement by the league to participate in everything here. There's the competition committee. They're talking about new international venues. But most of all, from John Lynch, we got quite a few updates. One of the most important ones, of course, is Brandon Aiyuk. And he said he had his update, benchmark appointment with Dr. Neil Atrashe, and he's making good progress. He said the doctor is very pleased. He's gotten good reviews. So while he might not be ready for week one, he will be ready at some point during the season. And all the talk about whether he's going to be traded or not, I think John Lynch said there was some hangover. There was a little bit more spillover from last year and that all the discussion to potentially trade Brandon Aiyuk, but they're not going to trade Brandon Aiyuk after they traded Deebo Samuel. So Brandon Aiyuk is very much going to be part of the 49ers team going forward. And also, I think it's kind of obvious that a team is not going to trade anything high draft capital for Brandon Aiyuk. He's not guaranteed to be ready week one, maybe not until mid-season. We don't know for sure. So it's, I think, a really tough sell to try and trade Brandon Aiyuk at this point where he's not 100% yet for anything that's worthwhile. So the 49ers intend to keep him on the roster. He is set to make about $27 million. And in the grand scheme of things at this point, looking at the wide receivers market, it's not a bad price at this point. Crazy to say. Now, what will be a higher price is Brock Purdy. And John Lynch did update us on, Brock Purdy's impending contract. He said, hey, I'm not going to give you details on what's going on with him, but he thinks that yes, they're going to reach a deal before OTAs. Obviously, Brock Purdy at the end of the season was saying, "Hey, I want to get this done. I don't want any drama. I want it done before OTAs so I can hit the ground running, especially after a 6-11 season." So John Lynch said, "I don't think that's too optimistic. I think I understand why Brock wants that, and we like that very much so." We just got to find a right place for both sides, and I would love nothing more for that to be the case. So there is a want and need and desire by both parties. There is a want by Brock Purdy and his representation. There's a want by the 49ers organization. We spoke to Jed York, and I know his intentions are also to be keeping Brock Purdy on the roster for the future. Now, John Lynch did give himself an out, just like he did at the NFL Combine with this no guarantees quote that he had. Said, I believe Brock wants to be with us. We want Brock to be with us. And so when that's the case, hopefully these things typically get done. Or he said that was no hopefully in there. He says, when that is the case, these things typically get done. Does it happen this offseason? I don't know. Hopefully it happens real soon this offseason. So while he does believe it will happen during the offseason, he gave himself an out saying, there's no guarantees, which is like he was at the combine. He also said that I think that's the extent of getting into those things. But I said there's motivation on both sides, and that's always a good thing. So while he's not saying that there's a guarantee it's going to get done, I do believe it will get done at some point before week one. Now, does it happen during the offseason? Everybody hopes so. But this is also a huge contract negotiation for Brock Purdy's representation. This is his first mega deal. So it means a lot. So if it was a guy like, let's say, Drew Rosenhaus or Chaffee Fields or any of these other big, huge, high-profile agents that have a ton of clients, I think it's easier for it to get done because there's so much pressure on his agent to make a name for himself, to have this big contract. There's a lot of pressure on the agent to get a big deal done because then kids coming out of high school are going to see that deal and want to sign with him. This is also an agent who had Trevor Lawrence at one point and they went their separate ways. So to lose a guy like Trevor Lawrence and to now have Brock Purdy on his, as one of his clients, having a mega deal done raises his profile, raises his desirability from other college athletes, high school athletes, because that's now when they sign with the NIL. So there's a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy's agent to get a deal done and to get a mega deal done, not just a deal done, a mega deal done. John Lynch also talked about how, yes, they've let a lot of players go, but they had to because of all the things that are going on with Brock Purdy's impending contract. That is a reason why they had to let all of these players go, like Leonard Floyd, like Malik Collins, like Javon Hargrave, and being unable to resign Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, JP Mason, all of those free agents that had to leave, they could not resign them because Brock Purdy's impending contract. Now, it looks like their cash spending is going way down this year as of right now, yes. But once they get the Brock Purdy deal done, they are going to be again in the top 2 or 3 in cash spending. So while this is a point where they aren't spending a lot of money, the money is going to get pushed up again once they sign Brock Purdy to his deal. Now, it's not going to necessarily go against the cap. It'll be a signing bonus. Brock will get a multi-million-dollar deal. A lot of that will be upfront in a cash signing bonus, and then it will hit the cap a little bit later. They do have a lot of dead cap. It's like $77 million in dead cap right now. So they have to plan for Brock Purdy's money to hit maybe 26, 27. All right. They do also want to get a deal done with George Kittle, whether that happens before Brock Purdy or after. They do want to get it done this season. They do have to get the Brock Purdy deal done probably first. John Lynch also said, hey, free agency this year was not fun. He did not like letting go of a lot of these players, but they are excited about the draft. They have 11 picks, which is a lot more than they have had in the past. It was tough. And one of the things that John Lynch said about 2024 is he was embarrassed. And it's not a rebuild season. They need to get better. So they are not going to be willing to accept 6-11 going forward. This is what he said. We need to get better as a football team. We were 6-11. No matter how we got there, injuries to key players, we were 6-11. That's embarrassing. We don't ever want to be 6-11 again. So by him saying that, I would say this is not a rebuild year. They're looking at the roster as it is, and it's Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Deommodore Lenoir. Those are huge key players that are making a lot of money on this roster. And then you add in Brock Purdy. That's a lot of high-paid, top-flight players that are on the roster still. So I think they're looking at this is not a rebuild. This is, yes, a retooling of the salary cap and what's going to go out, but it is also in preparation of being better this coming season. And what I took away from what John Lynch said is that it's really a lot of it hinges on Christian McCaffrey being healthy. And they say he is. He's, I think going to be much more productive. And the rest of the players being healthy is going to make the biggest difference. And, but no matter what, they do not want to be 6-11 again. They want to have a better season. So again, this is John Lynch saying, without saying it, this is not a rebuild season. Now, when you look at the offseason, yes, it looks daunting. It looks like they lost a lot of players, but he said, hey, we're not done yet. We still have more free agency to go. We still have the draft. Yes, the draftees are going to have to play and contribute. And I asked John Lynch, is it a lot of pressure on you? Yes, there's always pressure to draft well, but is it more pressure now because of the situation you're in with all of the defensive players that have been lost? And he said, hey, pressure is a privilege. And I like that. I like the opportunity to add players. And obviously it's not just defense, it's offense as well. So he's looking forward to the opportunity in the draft. It excites him. And I think that's, it's a positive. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom and a lot of negativity outside the building, but inside the building, I think they understand that they had to tighten the belt to be able to keep Brock Purdy in for the long run. A couple other few updates. The reason that they let go of Tabor Pepper and brought in a different long snapper, it was Brent Boyer's guy. Brent Boyer wanted this guy as a long snapper, so that's why they brought in a 39-year-old long snapper when, all this talk about getting younger and less expensive. That was that. So he also updated on Dre Greenlaw. The trip that he and Kyle Shanahan went out to Texas to try and talk to him and say, hey, we want to offer you basically the same thing that Denver was offering you. But you kind of understand. I don't know if you read the story in the Denver Post, but Dre Greenlaw's his dad, his I guess foster dad who adopted him, his dad said, hey, you know, don't go out there and be Scottie Pippen. You'll always be Scottie Pippen when you're next to Fred Warner. Go be MJ. And so we went to Denver, talked to Sean Payton today, and I said, hey, what did you see from Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga that made you want to take them? And he said, the fact that they're hard hitters, they're energetic, the fire that they bring, that motor that they have, that is why they wanted to get them in Denver. And also the fact that they do have an injury history probably allowed them to sign them for less money than they would have if they played the entire 2024 season healthy. He also said, hey, yes, D Winters is a guy that could take over for Dre Greenlaw in that position. They're going to give him a chance. Hopefully he gets better. He continues to improve, and we'll see how that goes. So, also, I know this is a sore subject with a lot of you out there. As far as offensive line, John Lynch said, we like our center. We like our right tackle. Yes, we have to address, left guard, maybe in the draft. Maybe there's some guys in-house, but I did not sense the emphasis on adding to the offensive line like they would early in the draft as they would on defensive line. Now, I think on the defense, yes, there is this sense of urgency. But when John Lynch spoke about the offensive line, again, like I've been telling you guys for a long time now, they're not going to draft an offensive lineman with that first round or that second round pick. Maybe in the third round, they find another guy like Dominic Cooney, but the first and second round picks, I do not see them drafting an offensive lineman. I just don't. So from what John Lynch said, I think that backs up what I'm saying. And I think they go for a skill position player. And I think that's defensive line or defensive tackle. First round, maybe second round as well, maybe also later in the draft. But obviously, we'll see at the end of April. All right. We have Kyle Shanahan tomorrow morning, super early in the morning. I believe it's 7:45 East Coast time. And then we'll have Jed York at some point tomorrow as well. There is a little gathering this evening, a little party. So completely off the record all the way around, but we've been having several conversations with Jed York. We've seen him around the hotel, and he's been very interested in talking about what's going on with the 49ers. So we'll have more updates for you then. Please subscribe, please like, and if you haven't already, and I'll have more for you in the coming days from Palm Beach, Florida at the NFL annual meeting. Thanks so much for watching.
I thought it was great.